What's up, y'all? My name is Trevor Went. I'm a visual artist raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I make art to challenge perspectives and give hope to the marginalized and oppressed. And Durag Thoughts is a podcast space where I want to see those ideas flourish, to challenge perspectives and give hope to the marginalized and oppressed. And if you peeped the first episode of this season, you've heard that we're going to be rocking through my series, this limited series, City of God. Throughout this whole season, we're going to be talking about different topics and conversations surrounding that, the different themes of each episode of the series. And before that starts, I want to give you a prelude to the story to kind of prepare you for the journey that you're about to take. So it's 2015. I graduated from college from a small school in Tennessee called King University, and I was looking to go to seminary in Vancouver, British Columbia. I had applied to 3 schools and I was looking to train to be a pastor. I wanted to plant a church and pastor a church for the rest of my life in a little bit of a different way than some of the ways that I had seen. A little bit more of an artistic slant was what I was thinking at the time. And so I thought to myself, if I'm going to journey all the way to Canada, might as well take a road trip, might as well see the entire West Coast. And so I pitched a sponsored road trip to about 80 companies and got the sponsored road trip fully covered. And I went with one of my closest friends. So drove across the country, saw all sorts of things for 30 days, and then ultimately was going to arrive in Canada and was going to figure out what was next. But here's the caveat. I promised myself that I wasn't going to go into debt at all for seminary. I thought that I already had enough debt from undergrad, and there was no way that I was going to go into debt for seminary. And I'd gotten offered actually less money for seminary than I ever did for wrestling in undergrad, which was kind of wild to me because at this point I had a 3.93 GPA coming out of undergrad. I was a wrestler, a captain on the wrestling team. I led multiple Bible studies. I was, working 2 work studies. I was an RA. I had been the vice president of SG. I had done all this stuff. So I had fulfilled all these things that I thought it took to get scholarships, doing all these extracurriculars. I'm a black man, so I'm going to be a minority in those spaces. And I had a great GPA. But again, I got offered less money in terms of percentage wise for seminary than I ever did for undergrad. And so I took out a step of faith, even just going, to Vancouver. It was an Abraham type journey. Abraham's a figure in the Bible who God shows up to and says, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. And it's like, go. And Abraham's like, where do you want me to go, God? God just says, go. And so Abraham took out on this journey, even though he didn't know he was going, like where he was going, because he had faith that God was going to do something. And so that's the step of faith that I took. And I made it to Canada and made it to the border. And I figured, let me just tell them the full story. Let me not just act like I'm going to come visit, but let me just be totally honest, because honesty is the best policy in my framework of mine, right? And I told them the whole story, how I had taken this step of faith and I was going to just go talk to the seminary and just figure out what we could do. And if they couldn't do anything, I was going to leave the country and I was going to journey back to the East Coast, because if I didn't, I was going to run out of money. And because I had the intention to study, but didn't have the finances to cover that, Canada turned me away at the border. They said my friend could come in, but I could not come in. And so I was devastated. I was heartbroken. I thought that this was a massive barrier in front of the mission that I felt that God was calling me to at the time. And so I think we spent like 5 days in a hotel and I was trying to figure out my next step. And ultimately they let me drive back into the country to drop my friend off at the airport so that he could fly out on his scheduled flight from the area, because he came with me and then would fly back to the East Coast. And I was supposed to start seminary, but that's not what happened. And so after I dropped him off, they gave me 48 hours to get out of the country. And if I wasn't, I had not turned in the form that they gave me to clip with my passport and stuff like that, then I would be considered a fugitive of Canada. And so I left Canada as fast as I could after going back to the hotel and getting a nap in real fast. And then next thing you know, I was saying I'm gonna drive to Seattle. It's Saturday. I'm just gonna go to church in the morning at a church local in Seattle. But I was trying to conserve my money because I didn't have a lot at that point. I had, had a sponsored road trip to carry me up to that point, but didn't have a bunch of money after that. And so it was really like, okay, what's next? I don't know what's next in this journey. And I found out that it's not that easy to sleep in your car, anywhere, because there's not necessarily safe places or places where it's legal to do that. And there are apps that can give you some direction towards that, but I couldn't find anything. And so I ultimately found some church out in the area, and I figured if any place is gonna allow me to sleep in their parking lot, it would probably be a church. And I'm just gonna pull towards the back and then try to be out of here before a church service would start the next morning. And so I pulled into this church parking lot, turned off my car, rolled up in this sleeping bag in the passenger seat, and I went to sleep. And you'll have to watch on September 28th to get the next chapter of the story. Appreciate y'all. Catch you on the flip. Be easy. Be safe. Peace.